This is Dr.T Vara Lakshmi discussing you the demand forecasting, its meaning and governing factors as a part of this business economics and financial analysis. So, demand is the willingness of the people towards the products purchasing and the value assigned to the product is called as this demand. So, for demand determinants or the price, income, government factors, it's a substitutable elements and complementary products, etc., are going to be having its impact on the demand creation for a product. So, at this concepts, in a future, how the product is going to be existing in the market. Is the product is having this demand, or is this product is going to be fade out or not going to be grab the demand in this particular any place? That estimation is called as the demand forecasting. So for this forecasting, there are certain elements are all there, some governing factors are all there, considerable elements are all there, and some techniques are prescribed by the experts. So that governing factors and the demand forecasting elements, we'll have the discussion now. So demand forecasting is a process of making decision about the future customer demand over a defined period. So that is for a next 6 months, what is the demand for this product? For the next 1 year, what is the demand for the product? And after 6 years or the 10 years, is it going to be get the demand? So in how many days or how much of time period it is taking to get the to grab the attention of the customers for a particular product, that estimation is called as this demand forecasting. So this is very important for every business potentiality to know their current position and future profits to produce a particular product and arranging the productional elements in producing a particular product based on the demand forecasting. And not only the productional activities, to gain the supply chain management elements, to satisfy the customers, and in holding of the inventory management, in reaching of these target markets by the producers or the manufacturers, in achieving their profitability goals, long-term investment prospects. In most of the situations, there is a need of this demand forecasting. So here it is, the demand forecasting is also estimate the risks involved in the production of a product and producing of these products and satisfying the customer needs, wants and desires. So that is the demand forecasting. So once if we see the importance or the applicants of this demand forecasting is more for the productional planning. If any person wants to produce a certain number of products, so let us say he has to produce 100 number of products or the 200 number of the products. So, and what is the demand outside in the market? So, based on that one, if a producer or the manufacturers produces the goods, then certainly he can reduce the losses, wastages, and he can gain maximum benefits with the demand forecasting implications in the productional elements. So that is the first element. The second application of this demand forecasting or the usage of this demand forecasting is to estimate the sales of a particular product. So in a future market, so how the sales up to what is the scope for the extending of the sales for a particular product. Based on that one, they can reach the products from manufacturing place to that market place. In which market it is going to be grabbing the more attention from the customers, and in which place, at what price it is going to be selling maximum, and what kind of the discounts they can give for the selling of a product. All these elements are all going to be estimating with the help of this demand forecasting in sales forecasting for any business. The next element is controlling of the business activities is also takes the help from the demand forecasting. So let us say a business wants to expand its business organizations or the branches, and it wants to establish a new unit for the production. That decision they can take based on the demand forecasting. If the demand for that particular product is short run and in a near future it is not going to be getting that grab for that particular unit, it has forecasted like this, then it is better not to go for the long term investments or the long term ventures. And if they can expand the only the output production the existing units, then it will be beneficiary for them. But if the demand forecasting is saying that certainly that product is having the more demand in the market in later after 1 year or the next 2 to 3 years, it is going to be grab more attention from the market, means it is better to go for the new units production or the expansion of that business at different places. All these are all can be possible, which means the controlling of the business is also getting the help from the demand forecasting in the market. The next element is the inventory control. So here the inventory control means the maintaining of this stocks, storage, and giving that getting that inventory to the work in progresses, allocating of that material for the finished goods, packing materials, every element will comes under this inventory controls. So as per the demand, can they purchase the raw material right now or not? Can they store that material or not? Can they allocate it for the production, or if not, let us sell off or return the purchase returns, can they go for the purchase returns? So all these are all the elements is again depends on the demand forecasting in the market. The next element is growth and long term investment programs. So if any business wants to estimate their growth elements, so they can get the demand forecasting. So they can see, so if there is a demand for that product of that company is increasing, they can say that there will be a growth for that company. If that demand prevails for a short run period, then they can say that their growth may not be prevails. So to increase the growth, what has to do? Do they go for this product modification or the another product adding to their manufacturers? So what kind of the element decisions they can take is again based on the demand forecasting for the product which they are all producing, as well as if they want to go for the long term investment programs. So for example, the business wants to purchase another building, land, machineries, expansions they wants to do. So for this long-term ventures, again it is based on the demand for the product in the future. It plays a vital role in this growth estimation of the industry as well as the long-term investment plannings of the business. The next element is the planning and policy making. So here they can see the economic factors into the consideration. What is the national income of the country? They can estimate based on the demand. In a country, there is a more demand for the luxurious products, infrastructure related products, and for the roads, buildings, constructions. All these materials is going to be getting more benefit. They can say that the government can say that there is a more economic planning is required so that they can go for the road construction and they can go for this buildings constructions, go down constructions, storage constructions. So all these are all as a part of this economic planning or the policy makings. So again, if the government wants to take any such kind of the economic plannings and policy makings, that is depends on the demand forecasting of the products in the market. The next element is avoiding surpluses and inadequate productions. So they can based on the demand only, if they purchases the goods, they can avoid the surplus of that one, unnecessarily keeping that goods in the store, go downs, stores, or maintaining them. Power, electricity, storage, maintenance, everything is a waste of the cost. They can reduce this one if they estimate the demand in the future, and also they can avoid the condition of inadequate production, because if there is a demand in the market, But if the company is unable to produce that product in time, then the competitor may grab that opportunity, or the substitutable products get more attention in the market. Instead of that one, if the producer has arranged the product within the time period, then definitely the producer will get a benefit, as well as they can avoid the inadequate productional elements because of this estimating the demand in the future. The next applicability of or importance of the demand forecasting is for the quality and quantity controls of the products. So, in the market, there is a high demand for this medium qualitative products than the very high or the low. So then, based on that one, they can have the quality controls of the product, or there is a high demand for the high qualitative products, health hygienic conditions. Then they can give more priority to that one. So based on this demand estimations, they can see up to how much of quantity they can make available to the customers. So all this quality as well as the quantity controlling elements are based on the demand forecasting elements. So that is the importance of the demand forecasting. So once if we observe this objectives of the demand forecasting means, so what it is aimed at. So the objectives of the demand forecasting is categorized into two elements. One is the short-term objectives as well as the long-term objectives. Okay, so the short-term objectives means, so where the demand forecasting estimation time period is between 1 day to 365 days, within 1 year. So within 1 year, the micro elementary factors in the business is going to be estimates, and that will be called as short-term objectives of the demand forecasting. Then, if the macro elements of the business is going to be estimating for a more than 1 year what it is going to be, and after 2 years, after 5 years, 10 years, if in a visionary manner if they estimates, then that is the long term objectives of the demand forecasting. Okay, so in the short term objectives, so what they will concentrate is like formulation of the production policy. So production policies include, so when has to start the production, and what should be the labor composition, gang composition, machinery allocation, technology implementations, quality of the inventories, inventory management elements, work in progress elements, safety measures, as well as the packing styles, product designs, etc. So all these are all the elements can be formulated under the concept of this production policy. Then if that production policy is based on the day-to-day market conditions, taste and preferences of the customers, so that's why it's a short-term objectivity is to formulate the production policy. Then once the production is completed, the next most important element is fixing the price for the product. So formulation of a price policy. So what kind of price they can fix? So if they fix this price, what is the chance of getting more demand for the product? If they reduce the price up to how much of sales they can increase? If they increase it up to how much of sales reduction they can expect? So who is that elements they can estimate under the formulation of this price policy. And it is a third element of third objectivity of the demand forecasting is maximum utilization of the machines as well as this raw materials. So there is a more demand prevailing in the market, then they can use the maximum capacity levels of the machineries. Then if there is no demand of that one, then they can use the less machinery capacities. So that is maximum utilization of the machineries is one of the objectives of the demand forecasting, as well as the proper control of the sales. So when has to sell, when has to give the discounts, rebates, buy one get one offers. So like this, so when has to give, so when has to increase the sales. So based on this demand forecasting, they can have the objectivity of regularize their proper control of this sales. And the next objectivity is a regular supply of the material. So that is, so resources which they have, and in time they can arrange the materials to the production to avoid the inadequate productional elements and productional outputs. Not only that one, the short-term objectives, under the short-term objectives, the demand forecasting also analyzes about the arrangement of the funds. So working, either it may be a working capital or it may be a capital funds. So in time, how to arrange the funds, where has to get the funds with a maximum returns is also a part of the objectives of the demand forecasting. That's apart from that one, they will also think about it, also think about the regular availability of the labor, and again skilled labor do they have, unskilled, how much of unskilled labor are required. All these are all the elements are keeping in a mind before going to be estimating the demand for a product for a short term period. There, if the demand for the product is going to be estimating for the long term period, then they will discuss about the long-term financial management elements. So that is investing into the long-term as long-term machineries, long-term lands, capital expenditures. So how to allocate that one based on this, some techniques are all there. Net present value technique, payback period technique, average rate of return technique. If they invest now, so what is its present value? What is its future value? In how many years they'll get back that funds? All these are all the estimations they are doing under the demand forecasting for the financial management. Then, and one more element under the long-term objectives is decisions regarding the production capacity. So, what is the production maximum present production capacity, and what should be the next level of the production capacity? So, for small example, so if we see this one, Covishield and Covaxin vaccines that production in India, and for this one, the long-term production capacity, maximum production capacity up to this one, there is a high demand is prevailing. But after 1 year, there may not be this much of the demand for this vaccination. So they can't go for the decisions regarding the long-term elements of the production capacity, because so once if that situations will gets to the normal, then people may not prefer the vaccination. They will go for the preventive measures. So for 10 years, 20 years, we won't expect the same situation. The people always want this present up to this situation. So that's why the manufacturers will go for this present regularization of the materials, labor, and maximum capacity of the production only. They won't go for the long term regarding the production activities. But in a future, if any of this kind of sanitization is going to be continuing in houses, they can go for these decisions regarding this production capacity in the future. And the next element is the labor requirement. So that is based on the educational systems, skills, training methodologies that are prevailing in a particular country. So how much of skilled labor are there and unskilled labor are there, and after 10 years or the 1 year, what kind of the labor we can expect, what kind of the labor policies they can fix. So all these are all they can estimate under the long term objectives of the demand forecasting. So that is the short term and long term objectives of the demand forecasting. So though it has a more important for the every business activity, it has certain limitations. So that limitations are lack of historical sales data for certain products. For example, if it is a newly introduced product, or a product which is doesn't have the idea in the market and it is newly launched, then there is a historical data is not available for that product. They can't estimate. So how it is going to be getting the grabbing of the customer's attention in the future or not, they may not be able to estimate. So sometimes their estimations may go wrong also. So that is mainly because of the lack of the historical sales data, because that product might be the new one, and unrealistic assumptions. Sometimes future everyone will thinks that now there is a more demand for the oxygen cylinders, in the future is also a more demand for the oxygen cylinders. Might be, may not be. So it may occurs or may not occurs. So that unrealistic assumptions might goes wrong in demand as forecasting. And mostly the forecasting is cost incurred. So that is for the estimation of that demand for the future is includes with the cost, but it is a non-recurring, because estimation may gives benefit for the analysis. It's a one only, but due to that estimation they won't get any profits. Then next thing is the persons may think something in a future it is going to be have the more demand, but there might be a changes in the fashions. So that fashion changes may also have the effect, but that might not be estimated in the demand forecasting. And there is another limitation for the demand forecasting is lack of expertise. So more researchers are still required for the demand forecasting and implementations. Well, traditional methods are all we are all following, and expertic methods still are required for the estimation of the demand for a particular product. Anyhow, technology wise, artificial intelligence, machine learnings, all this big data analysis, all these softwares are all upcoming, but still some more expertises are required for the estimation of a demand for a product in the future. And sometimes the psychological factors regarding a particular product may also disproves the demand forecasting. The people will think that their particular product will get maximum benefit in the market, but psychological factors or the natural factors may causes some damages in the market, so that whatever they have estimated that may goes wrong also. So that is the limitations of this demand forecasting. So it has some importance and also it has certain limitations. Okay. So the next thing is how to estimate the demand forecasting. The step-by-step mechanisms of this demand forecasting includes 6 steps. So the first step of that one is setting the objectives. Of course, for any process, planning is the most important one. That planning of what to do, when to do, how to do is called as the setting the objectives for the demand forecasting. So for which product they are going to be estimating the demand. So in what way they want to estimate the demand? Is they want to see the pricing factors into the consideration? Are they going to be estimating the considering the income factors into the consideration? So what are the factors they are all considering in setting in estimating the demand for a product? Is has to set under the objectives of that demand forecasting. Then once if they have planned, then the next thing is execution of that one, that is determining the time perspective. So in how many days they want to estimating this demand forecasting? Is it for the 1 year or for the 6 years or for the 10 years? So in for how much of time period this demand is going to be prevailing, they have to determine. The next element, that after that one, the implementation stage, that is selecting a suitable demand forecasting methods. So there are so many techniques and methods are all there to estimate the demand. So that is quantitative data analysis or qualitative data analysis. Again in that one, time series, Delphi techniques. So like these various techniques are all there. So they have to choose the best suitable methods for that based on the nature of that particular product. There. So based on that particular methodology, they have to organize the data collection method. So they have to collect the data. So let us say they want to estimate the future demand for the sanitizer bottles. So for this one, if they want to do the survey, so that survey method is the forecasting demand method. So based on that survey, they have given either are they giving any questionnaire or through the online or what way they are going to be giving that questionnaire. Then through that one, they have to collect the data. Then from the collecting data, they can estimate the results, and finally publishing of that results is 6 prescribed steps under the demand forecasting processes. So that is the various steps involved in the demand forecasting. The next one, before going to setting the objectives for the demand forecasting process, they need to keep certain factors into their mind. That factors are all called as governing factors of the demand forecasting, which means if they want to forecast or the estimate the demand for any product, mainly few concepts they should not miss. So that concepts are all called as the governing factors of the demand forecasting. So they are price of the good, type of the good, competition, technology, and economic perspectives. So these 5 concepts they need to consider for any product for the estimation of the demand. So first, if we see the price of the good. So what from beginning onwards, we are all discussing that price is the most determinant factor of the demand. Even demand forecasting are also, they have to see what is the present price of the commodity and what is the present demand prevailing to that product. In future, what its price is to be, if its prices increases, is it has the more, will it get the more demand or not, or is it going to be expecting the offers by the customers or not. So what kind of the markets are all prevailing, so in that market, what are the taste and preferences of the customers? So what are the pricing policies and fluctuations in the prices, and how it is going to be impacting the preferences by the customers. So all these estimations are has to analyze before going to estimating or forecasting a demand for the product in terms of the price. So if the high demand is prevailing, then even if the price increases, the people may wants to take that product. And even if that product is having multiple purposes, then the people may also wants that product. So one best example is electricity. If we take this electricity all the time, year by year, the people consumption levels of the electronic goods, different various electronic goods consumption is going to be increasing only but not reducing. So the dependency on electricity is increasing daily. So there, even if the price of that particular good increases, then there is a more demand for that one. So before going to be estimating the demand forecasting, a nuclear energy wants to introduce in India. So obviously we can say that there must be a more demand can also be there for nuclear energies. So that kind of so even if the price increases, what the people's reaction. So all these elements will take into the consideration. The next thing is what kind of good it is. As a good or a service, or again is it is a necessary good or a basic good or a luxury good or an inferior good. So based on that one also, the demand will be changes in the future. For example, if that product is an inferior good, then may not estimates the more sales for that product, may not estimates the more demand for the product in the future. If the product is a service or the new technological elements and it is going to be grabbing more attentions, then that so what kind of good it is, and what level it is going to be satisfying. Is it satisfying the needs, wants, desires of the customers? So how it is going to be satisfying the customers? So that is a very important one. So before going to estimate the demand of a product, they need to decide the what kind of good it is, what type of good it is. So they have to analyze. And the next element is competition levels. So what is the competition levels in the market? Is there only one producer is there in the market, then we can say that there will be a more demand for the product. If more number of the producers are already there in the market, then we can say that the new product may or may not be get the attention in the market. So that is based on the competitive levels and based on the producers and the sellers that are existing in the market may also have the impact on the demand estimation for any product. So that demand forecasting's importance for the competition. The next element is the technology. Of course, the day by day technologies are all changing and the people are addicting towards the new mobile apps, mobile networks, and previously the electronic payments was mechanism was not there up to this levels, but nowadays the for the contactless payments the people are more relying on the electronic payments. So technology implementations in this day-to-day exchanging of this money, so everywhere we are all using this technology. So what is the demand for this present for that product based on the present technology? If the technology changes, is this product is having the will get the more demand or not? They have to estimate. So before going to estimate the present and future technological changes and its impact on that estimating product also has to analyze by the marketer. So that is the one more governing factors of this demand forecasting. The next thing is economic perspective. So which means if they produces this product, so in a future is the resources are all supportive for this production or not? Is the market trends will continue in the same way or not? Is the government and countries' living standards will prevail or will have the will cooperative for the selling of this product or not? So everything they have to analyze as based on the living conditions, resources availability, technical labor which is available, and all the economical changes and growing factors of the country and a particular market. So if they consider all these elements into the consideration, then definitely they can provide the best analysis of the future demand prevalence for a product. So that is about the governing factors of the demand forecasting and demand forecasting elements. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.